Good morning or afternoon or evening, depending on where it is in the world you are. If we haven't already met, I'm Serena Myers, and this is your energy forecast for the week. So every week I like to come on and bring forward a little message that is tied to, okay, here we go. We got jumpers. It's tied to the energy that we're dealing with this week so that you guys can kind of better prepare and just have an idea of what's coming. And the beautiful thing is that oftentimes when you get the forecast on Monday, you think, okay, yeah, cool, that's interesting. But it's really fun to be able to come back at the end of the week to see how that energy has impacted you going forward, particularly if you're new to these forecasts, because it's going to impact you in slightly different ways. And as you start to kind of track it, you'll start to have a better idea of what's coming when you know how it tends to play out for you. Energy is just one of the ways that that I like to teach, talking about our own responsibility with our energy and being really mindful about what it is we're taking in and what it is we're putting out, because we're constantly sending and receiving all day long. And if you haven't already got it, I put together a guide, a free guide that's downloadable on my site. I'll make sure to add a link to it. It's called the Lightwalker's Guide to Energy Management. So it's different tools and strategies that you can do to keep your energy flowing and free. Now, here's the thing. If you already have an energetic practice, this time right now, particularly if you identify as an empath or an HSP, or if you're clairsentient, you're going to have to soup up your energetic practice, like double, triple, quadruple what you were doing before. If you didn't have an energy practice before, now is the time to start one. This pandemic has really brought so much to the surface because all of our structures have come down. So the things that were kind of holding everything in place were also helping to shield out some of the energy that's been coming up. And so we have all been working, us sensitive people have been working overtime, consciously and unconsciously, in processing all this energy. So our energetic practice is super, super, super important. It's the first thing that I teach in my 3-month program, Due North. It's essential part of your hygiene, the same way having a shower or brushing your teeth is. It really is super important. So if you haven't already downloaded that guide, I really highly recommend that you do that now. And again, I'll make sure that I link to that in the comments after this is done. Okay, so let's talk about the energy of this week, since that's what we're here to talk about. Now, remembering too that energy doesn't run in a linear pattern. So if you happen upon this video and it's not this week, you're coming upon it, 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years from now, know that this message is still for you. So we've got 2 cards. One, we had a jumper, and then we had one that came through kind of more organically. So let's just start with the jumper at first, and that's the Archangel Uriel. Uriel is the one who comes forward to invite us to shine our light. He's kind of the archangel that's like the biggest support for awakening the light worker within us. So if this is something that you have, you've thought about or you felt, but you didn't feel like you were quite ready to claim it, or you weren't sure if you really identified with it or not, or if you really were a light worker, what they're saying is that there isn't anything that you need. There's no criteria or checklist that you have to go through to say, yes, I'm a light worker. If that term appeals to you and resonates with you for some reason, then you likely are one, and it's not something to be afraid of. Light workers show up in a lot of ways. A lot of people really think about it as they need to be healers, and they need to be channelers. They need to be doing psychic work. And a lot of times people mix up that idea that being a light worker means that you do it as a profession. However, a lot of times, and a lot of the times that it's most needed, is when it's in like government, or when it's in an office or a toxic work environment. We actually need light workers in those spaces, because they do tend to attract heaviness, attract hardness, make things a little bit darker, a little bit heavier than they need to be. And we need people that can come in and bring the light, which inspires hope, which brings in possibility. And it really helps the people who are in there who are sensitive and maybe haven't identified that about themselves yet be able to cope a whole lot better. And so if you have been toying with the idea of claiming this idea of being a light worker, now is the time to say, yes, I am. If you are a light worker and you've already claimed this, and maybe it's in your work or maybe it's just in how you're living your life, now is the time to shine brightly. We are in this challenging time, and it does feel really hard and heavy, and it's bringing a lot of ugliness to the surface, particularly as people were resisting following rules, then they followed rules, and now they have to follow them more, and they're not happy about it. All of this stuff is coming to the surface. And so we need your light. So when Archangel Uriel shows up and encourages us to shine our light, what does that look like? Because not everybody is out and open with their spiritual practice. So how do you do work as a light worker if you're kind of on the DL, if you're doing it kind of behind the scenes? And so you can be doing prayer and mantra and using even your meditation practice can be offered for the world. It's not just about bringing light for yourself and your own light. You can direct that outward. If you are someone who is a little bit more open and whatever, be mindful of the things that you're engaging with and sharing on social media. Bring out the memes and the fun things. Be mindful of any propaganda that you might be sharing or any darker stuff, because the thing is like everybody knows what's going on. We don't need more bad news. What we need is more light and more levity. It's how you can show up for your community, how you can show up for your neighbor, how you can show up for even your own family while still like maintaining social distancing and everything else. So it's being able to do good deeds, it's being able to share good information, it's being able to just be a voice for good and for light, and even sometimes just being an ear for someone to listen to. And that is the big work at this time. So yeah, if you do Reiki, if you work with crystals, if you do ceremonies and whatever, you can expand that out of your own reality and do it for the world. But it doesn't have to be ultra light worker, right? Like just being a force of positivity is light work in these times. And El Moria is the next card that came through, and he really comes to us when we're in this next state of our growth, particularly with our spiritual growth. So he's part of that awakening process, and he's also being mindful of or reminds us to be mindful of being able to do this work where we are really guided and protected. So this kind of circles back to the start of this broadcast, which was talking about our energetic hygiene and being really mindful about what it is that we are putting out and taking in the world. If we are empaths or sensitive people, we kind of are these little sponges. So we're needing to be really mindful about keeping our energy clear, about doing that multiple times a day. So right now, I cut my cords with interactions with people. So even if I'm doing like working with a coaching client, I do like an energetic clearing in between each one so that I'm feeling really energetically autonomous. I have a ritual when I wake up, and I have a ritual before I go to bed. Before I go to bed, I actually draw all my energy inward, and I set the intention that I will not be doing light work at night, so that because I was really burning out at the start of this because my cosmic body was doing all this external work while I was sleeping, and so I wasn't feeling really rested, and my sleep wasn't restorative. So these are the kinds of things that you can put into place where you're calling your energy back, where you're shielding up, and where you're constantly clearing your energy throughout the day. And I know a lot of people have this feeling that when we cut cords or when we clear energy, that's like some kind of a rejection. It's not. It's really just about maintaining energetic autonomy. It's sending people with their energy with love, taking our energy back with love. And none of it is in cutting anything out. And in fact, it's actually more kindness to humanity because we're able to show up more when we're not burnt out is really what it comes down to. So those are your messages. It's about shining your light and maintaining that energetic protection so that everything is cut and clear and you're able to continue to sustain this work. Because this is not a sprint, my friends. We have been officially in a marathon for quite a while now, and we still have a big leg of it to go. So I'm going to finish this video and put out the link that's for the energy guide. If you don't already have it, download it. And I'm wishing you so much luck and love this week. Keep up the good work, you guys, because this is a good fight and we are doing it and we're doing it together. So proud of each and every one of you. I'll talk to you soon. See you next week.